Jillian, we welcome you. Trust me, we really, really are so honored. Please, ladies and gentlemen, Jillian Haslam.
That's better. I just listened to the story about the settlers and the climbers.
Yes.
And just as I was seated there, I thought, I'd like to tell that story in my way, how I learned that. There was a vendor in a marketplace, and he had 2 baskets of crabs. And one of his customers walked up to him and said, I'd like to buy some crabs, please. And he said, okay, I'll give it to you from the right-hand basket. And the customer asked him, why is one of your baskets covered with a net? And why is one of your baskets not covered with a net? And why are you serving me from the basket that's not covered with the net? And he said, it's very simple. The ones that are covered with the net will definitely hold each other down whenever they try to climb up and go somewhere and make something of themselves. The others will just keep dragging them down. They won't let them go anywhere. So I just have to cover them and keep them there. But the others, from the basket I'm serving you from, they will just let their friends and their relatives go anywhere. And when I looked at you, I thought you were one of those people. You won't enjoy the crabs from that basket, so I'm serving you from this one. So there are 2 types of people. One type that won't let you go anywhere and who will spend their lives dragging you down. And one type that will spend their lives assisting you to climb up. But I'm here to speak to you today about the power of belief. Mahatma Gandhi said, when a very small group of people come together with complete belief in their mission, they have the power to change the course of history. That man changed the course of history single-handedly because he believed in what he needed to accomplish. And I'm here today to help to launch this precious, very sacred radio station. But 120 years ago, in 1895, a young lad by the name of Marsoni, Italian, was actually tinkering with an instrument up in his dad's loft and sending out telegraphic messages. And he was using a code called the Morse code, as in Inspector Morse code. And he used a little instrument that today has been renamed the radio. Little did he know at that point in time that that little instrument is going to change the course of all our lives forever. Gandhi came much later. But today, that same little instrument has been developed and redeveloped, and today we have 6.2 billion radio stations all over the world.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. But you know what? Such is the power of belief. And when I was a little girl, and as some of you might have already heard before, we lived behind people's houses, under their stairs, behind, in their verandas. And my mom just took us from pillar to post where anyone would feed us, anybody would take care of us. Sometimes they fed us, and sometimes they kept us, and sometimes they told us it's really time to move on. But during that time, we moved into a little room about 8 by 10 feet. And we were very poor. We were literally living hand to mouth. No sanitary conditions, hardly any electricity, filling water from a tube well. Almost 3,000 people or more sharing 3 toilets in a proper slum. But my dad used to wake up at like 4 in the morning and light this little stove, which is with kerosene oil, which actually took 1 hour just to light. Yeah, every wick had to be, lit. And it used to take time to get that flame, which we get in 1 second on our gas stoves today. But my dad used to light that stove and put on that pan. And my sister and myself used to wake up with that smell of the oil. And he used to get us 2 tins, One in India it's called an atta tin, which is actually flour. And one is a dalda tin, which is like an oil. And he used to put 2 tins by the stove, and we used to sit near him, 1 on each tin, Vanessa and myself. And my dad used to make these hot parathas for us, in the morning. But at the side of that stove, he would have this little transmitter radio, small little one, black in color. And he used to put it on. Most often you wouldn't get signal, but sometimes if he used to place it in the right angle, he used to get that signal coming in, right? But we used to listen, and we used to wonder, because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have a television, we had nothing. So we didn't even know what existed out there in the world. That little radio was our window to the world. For many children around the world, your radio station will be just that.
Amen.
We don't understand. I fly to India in a few weeks. I have 3 study centers there, almost 200 kids. And we do work with very many aged people and the disabled and the youth, just like you. But I can tell you that many little ones would just give anything to just listen to that voice coming out of that radio. And yet we take so much for granted. The most famous radio station in the world is WIIFM. Can anyone tell me what that means? The WIIFM stands for What's in It for Me. Because many people, whether you start a business or a radio station or a television company, or whether you do anything, they want to turn around and say, what's in it for me? What will I get if I listen to your station? Are you going to be giving away some cash prizes? Are you going to be giving away some theater tickets? But what about us thinking that it's high time that we asked and we changed that acronym to what's in it for them? For the children who barely have 1 meal a day, who have no education, who are struggling, who don't have any hope at all. I honestly feel that people like you put the word hope back into hope for many. We don't understand the significance, because in our world today, poverty, hope, gratitude, peace, and start something with a genuine belief, I don't even care if there's 12.2 billion radio stations out there, you could move the world. That is the power of belief. When I sat on that little tin, and when I heard the voices come through on that radio, I thought that was magic. How did my dad get that to happen? And I used to listen so carefully. And my mom used to send us to these tailor shops around the area, and my sister and myself were like two blind mice, running underneath their tables and gathering all their little scraps of cloth and, all the stuff that they cut and they throw away. We used to bring that home and give it to my mom. And my mom used to stitch, patchwork quilts, little coats, pillowcases, out of those rags. And one day when I was sitting on that tin, I heard Dolly Parton's song, My Coat of Many Colors. And my dad said to me, put on your coats. You should be proud of it. And ladies, honestly, I still have those coats with me today. Such is the magic that can happen. I bet Marsoni 120 years ago didn't think of how much assistance it's going to be to someone like us today. His invention at that time. All he wanted to do was to send telegraphic messages, right? He didn't think that just by us sitting here right now, many radio stations manage their stations from their mobile phones. Because all you need is a little transmitter. But you can imagine that you have the power today to reach millions of people. But you have to change the concept of the what's in it for me to get people to understand the what's in it for them. And I think if you and you can actually come up with a great message to the world wants to listen. We believe that they don't want to listen. But no, there are millions out there who want to help and want to listen. I tell you this only because when we were seated on those tins, we had no hope at all. Just like the millions who roam in Africa or India or anywhere. I didn't know whether I'm going to get an education, who am I going to be? I had no clue. But you know what? I like to say this, that truly and honestly, I was a beggar by the corner whom no one gave a dime. But today, I read and write and speak because someone took the time. You have the ability right now and the power in your hands to get those people to take the time to help. And someone took the time and someone paid our fees. And some sponsor from abroad helped us to get an education. They didn't know that this girl standing in front of you today is going to write a book that's going to be turned into a Hollywood production. They didn't know that this girl today is going to have a radio station that reaches millions all over the world and spreads the message. They had no clue. For them, you were just another poor child, and we'll just pay for your education. If that's where it needs to start, so be it. But my little sister Susan was brought home from the hospital when she was 3 days old, And just before I was born, we lost 4 siblings, twins, Kimberly and Alan, and 2 sisters, Carol and Minnie, to malnutrition and poverty before the ages of 6 months, one after the other. You know, we see people in a queue to inherit something, right? An estate, property, jewelry, something. We were in a queue of death, direct queue facing death every day. It just took one and left one and took one and left one. That's what happened to us. But when the 5th sibling was brought home, Susan, and she was placed on the bed by my mom, and she was given 3 days to live, everyone came and paid their respects and told my mom how sad they were that she was going to go. And then I looked at her and I thought, not if I believe that she is not going to die. And so I ran to the tea shop and got a little milk every day, diluted even if it was, because he used to put 1 bucket of water in a big, vessel of milk to make it go further, and give me 1 bowl of milk every day. And every day I used to go with my little steel bowl and stand there and look at him. And just like Oliver Twist, I used to say, "Please, sir, little milk, please." And he used to look at me and say, "No, go away. Milk is not free, Doesn't come free, no." But I used to be stubborn enough and stand there. And every day he would get so fed up with me because I used to probably be distracting his customers. So he took that bowl, took milk, and used to give it to me. And I ran home with it, mixed that little powdered medicine that the doctor gave, and squeezed my sister's cheeks and fed it to her with a teaspoon. That's because, even at that, I was just 8 years old, and of course I looked 5 anyway. But even at that age, when I looked at that baby, I thought, no, she's not going to die, not if I have anything to do with this. But you can see the power of belief. I didn't know how I'm going to save her. The world had given up on us. The community had given up on us. The doctor had even given up on her. Who was I to take that decision that she was going to live? But I only had one thing on my side. God. Who was watching and thinking. That's what I call the power of belief. And I think that even in the weakest child on earth, there lies potential. I don't care how that child looks, what that child is like. I wish I could show you a photograph of, these Oxford and Cambridge students who look so great. They're in the yacht races and they're learning, they're getting the best that the world can offer. And I have this boy from India whose chest is a little thicker than that. But you know what? For 3 consecutive years, he's gone to the army base and he sticks his chest right out saying, "Come on, I'm fat enough, you can take me." Because he wants to make it. He wants to be accepted. But every time they put the measuring tape around him, they say, "Next year, fatten up and come back." Yeah? But he's so sweet. And I think that's, if you see potential in these students here, why can't you see potential in someone like him? But it takes a very special kind of mind to think like that. Minds like yours. It takes a very special person to feel like that. You on Facebook, you are on social media. How many people do you get actually believing what you do? Not many. But you know what? You can change that tide. I have done it. And I believe you can do it. As again Gandhi said, first they'll hate you, then they'll probably rebuke you. But then eventually, they'll follow you. So going back to the time when I was a little girl, and those people sponsored our education, that could only happen because someone somewhere cared. And I'd like to ask anyone who's listening to this speech, whether you are here today or not here today, all over the world, these ladies are doing something that is far greater than anything we could ever do in our lifetime.
Amen.
You know, giving hope to someone. When I go to India and I find a little boy who can't talk because he stammers so badly, and when he turns around and tells me, Didi, you know, I have no one to turn to, but I have you, that is a blessing. And I can tell you only this, that anyone who's listening to me, please help and donate and give to this cause. Please. You know, Christmas is approaching. Please sit down by yourself and think, do you really need to buy all those gifts? Can you just not call up the person and say, I really do love you, but can I give that money to these ladies to save 5 lives instead? On all my birthdays so far, I call all my friends and I say, I'm asking you for one favor, no gifts. No gifts. If you want to help, then help the people who need the help. I don't need another bag, and I don't need another dress, and I don't need another Chanel No. 5, and I don't need all that, you know. And honestly speaking, I don't need to put all that makeup because I have to show the world I'm worth it. No, I'm not. I don't need that. I need actual people to help the people in need. There is an inequality in our world. And we need to put that right. And if we cannot inspire and help these ladies to inspire others, then our lives are not worth it, really and truly. So I can just ask that if you can go out there and take with you their leaflets, their banners, and talk to the world about how these ladies have fought to come to where they are against all odds, to create this amazing oasis where children come to drink. How precious and sacred is that? Ladies and gentlemen, we can all do our bit by putting the hope back into the word hopeful. Drop by drop, that oasis will fill. Let us try to add every drop we can every day of our lives, and I promise you that in a couple of years that oasis will be overflowing for the kids out there. But with that, I'd like to say thank you very, very much for inviting me here today. I know I have to run because I've got another speech to attend. But thank you very much indeed, and I'm deeply honored and touched, and I wish you the very best. You're on my radio show anyway on the 13th, so thank you.
Thank you. can sum up her story. If you've watched Slumdog Millionaire, you will know what I'm talking about. This is that little girl, but she is here now, and her book is going to be a Hollywood film as we speak. So all that is happening. You can Google her. You will know she's got the pictures of when they were slummers and everything. But the one that made me cry, she didn't tell the whole story. When her sister was dying, when she said she went to the men, I don't think all of you catch it, because they're already homeless. So when she's going to get the milk, she doesn't have money to get the milk. So every day she's bugging this man. Because she's a climber, she doesn't give up. She's going back. The men sometimes will give her the milk, sometimes she wouldn't. Sometimes he would, sometimes he would tell her, you know, you told us deep things the other day, but she will stand there so that the sister doesn't die. I wonder, as you stood here, how many children, because of your obedience of what we do, how many of the lives can be turned around? Isn't it? Absolutely. Her life was holding on a little string.
Yes.
And you are here today because somebody sponsored your education.
Well, not only am I here today, but Susan, the little one whose life I've saved, she's in Australia and she's just given birth to her own little baby daughter, Samantha. Wow.
You need to go on her website and get to know her story. But yeah, she will be coming on Oasis, but please tune in. Where would they tune in for our program on the 13th? Yeah.
Oh, you just need to go to inspirationalvoices.net, and she is an inspirational voice, so there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We release you to go because we're not always go. Thank you. One more time for Jillian, ladies and gentlemen. Just one more time. Just one more time. You know, when Jillian says they moved from pillar to post, she literally means that. It means that in some cases it was under the bridge. Sometimes in the train, you told us the stories about the train, isn't it? And it's lots and lots, but most things are all there on your website. We've been honored to have you. You are a miracle to us. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just keep clapping. Keep clapping. Keep clapping. Keep clapping. Keep clapping. Keep clapping. She's a miracle. She didn't have a chance. You can take a seat. You're going to eat in a minute. But she didn't tell. One of the stories that touched me is when she then managed to get a job later on, and how she became the top CEO of a bank. She does so many things. She got a job, a very small job in a bank, and then she went to the boss, the CEO, and then she said, I want to be like you. And the man was like, you can't be like me. And is the food ready? Okay. In a minute, I'm going to hand you over to our PA, who is so wonderful. But she said she told this man that, look, I want to be like you. I want to learn how you do what you do. I will do anything you want me to do. This is the deal. She said, I will clean your house. I'll look after your children. Don't tell me you don't need help because you're always traveling all over. I will do whatever it takes to learn what you're doing. The man, but she backed it because she's a hustler. She learned all that in her place. She hustled the man until this CEO man, can you imagine? You need to read her story. She deals with RBS. We're honored to have her. She's been to the White House. She's been to the platforms that some of us might never be there, but she's been there. But this man one day said, okay, I will take you on the deal. Boy, did she clean the house. did she look after the kids, but she learned the trade. To the extent that the man was not doing any more of his PA, she became the PA. So once she wrote this big speech for the man was going to speak somewhere in Parliament, and apparently when he finished speaking, everybody stood up. They said, that speech, we've heard you doing speeches, but that speech was out of this. So he said, well, please don't, I put my hands up. Go to my PA, she done the speech. I didn't even know what she wrote in it. And that was her, that's Jillian. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to introduce you